Can whites be trusted in autopsies and criminal cases, murder cases involving blacks, African Americans? Racism is a very tricky, demonic, manipulative, psychological concept where the facts have been documented consistently and even present day that there is a big difference and divide, and not for good reasons, between black and white people in the United States of America. Cultural differences, pain threshold differences, the perception of safety and reliability on the American system differences, privilege differences, loyalty and commitment to the group differences, where historically whites in America are not burdened with the responsibility of protecting black folks. And it's interesting where we acknowledge the racist history, we acknowledge the facts regarding the incidents that have occurred in America regarding the different races, specifically, but we don't focus and really consider the long term consequences socially, psychologically, when it comes to the criminal justice system really receiving a fair case or investigation based on these differences. Most people bring their psychology to their work. If I'm white and I'm of the group that doesn't like black people, if I take that mindset to work, don't expect me to do anything initially in their favor. I don't understand why it's so hard for American people to understand that racism is essentially saying, I don't like this particular group. I hate this group. I have animosity. I have some sort of just malice towards certain groups. And then I'm going to go to work with this psychology, blend in, and everything is going to be all right. That's not how human beings work. Human beings can be some slick motherfuckers. They're evil. I don't know how many videos I had to make of this. Evil. Our nature is fucking evil. And America's like, yeah, you could be racist towards black folks. You can hate them. Just come to work and do your fucking job. What does, what are we doing? And now you have this case with Nolan Wells, brother murdered on Horn Island. You have all this cover up, and you think these white people with the history, it's like Americans don't know their history. And it's like Americans' relationship to history is so unique. Where if you go to China, they have so many traditions, and not everything I necessarily agree with, but they just have a more conscience wise, intelligent relationship with history. Americans, they're just saturated in so much history, yet they want to go out, position themselves socially in the world with a lot of biases and beliefs that are a product of these histories that are not healthy, and act like everything is all right. And it's even to the point where the younger the generation gets in our country, the more offended they are by people who respect history, who understand history, who are educated in their history and orient themselves as such. So can white people be trusted? If there's a divide between white and black people, if white people have for centuries let you know we don't fuck with these niggas. We don't like black people. You're subhuman. All right. Don't want you with our daughters. Don't want you with our sisters. Go on Instagram. Go into the comment section where you see a lot of these white women with black men. Look at some of the malice that these young white boys are saying today. We ain't talking about shit back in the 1600s, the 1800s. These motherfuckers still feel this way today. Today. And white people are good with words. They know how to run you guys in circles with their fucking mouths. They know how to argue, right? They know how to debate, right? Get you all in your head, make you feel like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But the facts stand. If a lot of these white people have acknowledged we don't like black people, we don't want to live with you guys. We got laws, we got policies in place, we got police, we got the CIA, we got the FBI, we got the president, we got the government, we got the firefighters, we got the ambulance, we got everything set up to keep you niggas over there. Can you really trust white people as the determining decision maker in criminal cases involving black people? This shit don't add up. And some black people will argue, well, why don't you niggas become, forensic specialists and you guys do the autopsy? It's not that fucking easy. And there are black people out here who do it. But just how white people have this shit set up, because they're master manipulators and they play on narratives, running their fucking mouths. And can we trust this autopsy report from this black guy? There's racial bias. And you guys buy into the shit. So, what is an autopsy? What is a fucking autopsy? So, an autopsy, also called a post mortem examination, is a specialized surgical procedure performed on a deceased person to evaluate the presence and extent of disease or injury, determine the exact cause of death, and reconstruct the mechanism or manner of death. For example, whether it was a natural death, accidental death, homicide, suicide, or undermine. I don't know who made the decision in America based off of the irrational judgment of these white folks in their relation to the people. I don't give a fuck what you built. I don't give a fuck about your money. I don't give a damn about your degrees, your universities, your institutions. I don't give a fuck. How do you connect to the people? People measure white people in such an ignorant way. Oh, you guys wrote the Constitution. Oh, you guys got the police force. You got the firefighters. You got these beautiful neighborhoods. You got clean grass. Who gives a fuck? How do you connect to your brother? Can you be trusted with people, kids? That's the shit that matters. Anybody can build a fucking tent, you know? And who made the decision? These motherfuckers, if no reparations, no resolution, no sense of reconciliation between the damage that was done to black people by these fucking white people, who made the decision that their fucking decision making was even sound enough to be the determining factor in a fucking murder case with black people? Who the fuck made that choice? Right? Just the American just psychology is so fucking backwards. These motherfuckers are for the most part, mostly represented in these positions, and they're the only voice we gotta rely on a lot of the times for a fucking murder case involving a nigga, and they don't even like niggas. That shit at the gate is suspect. I gotta emphasize that. Right? So these autopsies are a big deal, big ass deal. So it says during a full autopsy, a pathologist makes incisions to inspect internal organs, collects tissue, fluid samples of toxicological and microscopic testing, and documents physical trauma. So the history of autopsies and racial disparities. So there's a history here. Okay, that's going to prove my point. I'm going to come to you motherfuckers with facts because you argue everything. You have all the answers, right? The history of anatomical science in the United States is deeply intertwined with racial and socioeconomic inequality. During the 18th, 19th, and early 20th centuries, medical education transformed from theoretical instruction to hands-on surgical dissection and post-mortem examination. This shift created an enormous demand for human corpses that outpaced legal supply. So, how the white institutions benefited. Knowledge and authority built on marginalized bodies. White medical schools, physicians, and students gained foundational expertise in anatomy, pathology, and surgical techniques by dissecting and autopsying bodies to which they were given unrestricted access. So, this was the challenge for a lot of these white institutions in these medical practices and institutions of learning around conducting autopsies. They didn't have enough bodies. They didn't have enough bodies to practice on. And it kind of transitioned to them actually using real physical bodies. It went from theory to actual practice. And there's some interesting history around this. So, protection for wealthy white citizens. White elites were buried in private, paid, and guarded cemetery vaults. These white folks ain't want you dissecting them. They didn't want to volunteer their bodies. Go figure. Okay. You're not going to use our bodies. You're not going to use our deceased for any of your medical research. Why not? You love white people so much. You don't like black people. You don't want anything to do with black people. Why not use your own people? Why would you want to take a black body for educational research and improvement of medical science on white folks? If you don't like if you don't like niggas, what good are we to you then? Just do what you don't get to use your own bodies, right? So you see this logic and shit. We don't like niggas, but we're going to use your bodies to advance medical research for our people. Okay, okay. So white elites were buried in paid, guarded cemetery vaults, protecting their remains from post mortem disturbance. Laws and social norms shielded middle and upper class white families from having their loved ones subjected to non consensual dissection or routine municipal autopsies. So they were protected. Okay. White black bodies were used without consent. Anatomical theft and resurrectionist. Medical institutions frequently hired grave robbers, known as resurrectionists, to raid segregated black cemeteries and potters fields. So these white folks in these medical institutions hire people to go out to the sacredness of a black person's, black people can't even rest in peace around white people. They're hiring resurrectionists, basically grave robbers, to go out, dig up the body. Okay. You hear this? To raid segregated black cemeteries and potters fields because enslaved people and free black individuals lack legal protection and political representation. Raids on black burial grounds carried virtually no legal consequences. This is why we need black hate crimes. Don't think these white people are not paying attention to these loopholes and gaps in the protection of African Americans and finding ways to maximize those loopholes. When you're not protected by the law, you're basically food to these white people. You're food. You see this? So they knew there was no political representation or legal protections for these black bodies, but the white people had theirs. This is what I'm saying. They've shown you consistently. We're coming to our work with this historical racial history just embedded in our psyche. We're coming to these important work positions with this attitude. You can't even leave your racism at the door during a damn autopsy, during a medical school examination where you're expected to be somewhat objective. They're bringing the bias there. These white people are not playing any games with you niggas. We're going to protect our dead from being illegally used as any sort of medical examination. You do what you want with these niggas. They carry this racist mindset everywhere they fucking go. And then they argue you and they want to debate you. They want to pull out all this articulation and debate this really emotion mindedness. They're in their feelings and then they all gather together, right? And they're not saying nothing to debate you for speaking the facts. Exploitation of enslaved people. In the antebellum South, enslaved individuals were treated as property. Masters routinely sold or surrendered the bodies of deceased enslaved workers to medical colleges for dissection and autopsy without any consideration for the individual or their family's wishes. Systemic poverty and legal disenfranchisement, post-emancipation, Jim Crow pauper laws. allowed state and county morgues, public charity hospitals, and prisons to automatically surrender unclaimed bodies to medical institutions. Black Americans disproportionately affected by poverty, lack of healthcare access, and systemic disenfranchisement were vastly overrepresented in public morgues. State misconduct, as recently as late 2023, investigation in Hinds County, Mississippi revealed that local authorities performed autopsies and buried over 200 individuals, disproportionately black residents. This is just 2023. And guess where? Fucking Mississippi. Say this again because you don't hear. As of recently as late as 2023, investigations in Hinds County, Mississippi revealed that local authorities performed autopsies and buried over 200 individuals, disproportionately black residents, in unmarked pauper graves without notifying their next of kin, even when identification was present on the body. Telling you, black forensic pathologists and surgeons. I was curious, like, is there any black fucking examiners in the South? Black forensic pathologists and surgeons in Mississippi. In medical practice, forensic pathologists perform autopsies rather than general surgeons. Historically, Mississippi faced a profound lack of diversity and overall accreditation in its state forensic system. For decades, the state relied heavily on a non board certified system plagued by controversy. So these boards that they're, pulling these forensic pathologists from, these boards aren't even certified. Today, black medical professionals serve across Mississippi as general pathologists, surgeons, coroners, and deputy medical examiners through board certified black forensic, though board certified black forensic pathologists remain statistically rare nationwide, comprising less than 3% of all practicing forensic pathologists in the United States. Nationally, pioneer figures like Dr. Joy Carter, the first black chief medical examiner in the United States history, paved the way for minority leadership in forensic pathology, advocating for transparency, unbiased death investigations, and exposing deaths in custody that might otherwise be overlooked. We got to get into this field, black people. This is important. I didn't even think about this field growing up and how important this is. I mean, you heard of it, but this is like the biggest decision and determining factor in a lot of these murder cases is the autopsy reports. Why autopsies are critical in criminal cases. In the criminal justice system, a forensic autopsy provides objective. See, that's what they want you to think. It's objective. In psychology, objective means that the sort of implementation of knowledge and skill that is not limited to your bias or your particular attitude or belief system regarding the case. White people are not known for doing anything objectively. They're not. And even when they try to act like they're so objective and I don't have any sort of bias or any racial attitudes toward this, they get caught behind the scenes doing something out in the restaurant, saying something behind closed doors. I don't know who lied to you guys and convinced you that these white people today are going to do objective work regarding black folks. It's just this American mindset. It really just is bizarre. It really is if you really think about it. Nobody really can be objective. I would trust black people to be more objective than white folks. What do black people gain from being subjective or discriminatory towards a white person in a criminal case? How does it benefit us? How does it further advance us? It's too many white people in the world for us to say, oh, yeah, we got one white person put in jail wrongfully. We win. It's just, and I'm not saying these individuals don't exist, but as a collective, it's not going to fucking push the needle for us. So I would trust them more. Not everything is a case by case basis, but I'm just saying collectively, especially if they're professional, I would trust them more all day. So, in the criminal justice system, a forensic autopsy provides objective biological evidence that can confirm or refute human testimony. It is essential for several reasons: establishing cause and manner of death. An autopsy proves whether a death was a homicide, suicide, accident, or natural event. For instance, distinguishing between death by manual strangulation versus a fatal cardiac event requires internal tissue evaluation. Reconstructing the crime. Pathologists evaluate wound trajectories, bullet entrance, exit points, blunt trauma patterns, and defensive injuries to determine the angle of an attack, the type of weapon that was used, and the physical positions of the victim and perpetrator. Determining timelines, changes in body temperature, rigor mortis, stomach contents, and decomposition assist investigators in establishing an accurate time of death to verify or disprove suspect alibis. Toxicological evidence. Fluid analysis identifies the presence of drugs, poisons, alcohol, and incapacitating substances that may have contributed to the death or rendered the victim defenseless. Exonerating the innocent. Unbiased, scientifically rigorous autopsies prevent wrongful convictions by identifying when physical evidence contradicts false confessions, flawed eyewitness claims, or improper police theories. And you want to put fucking racist white people with a history who don't give a damn about your black condition in these positions over black. There need to be cameras. There, in my opinion, you need to do a damn lie detector test before you can, especially if you white in this context, before you touch any black body, motherfucker. You need to be doing a lie detector test to see what is your mindset before you touch anybody. In my opinion. Let's look at some cases where the autopsies just got it wrong. In forensic pathology and criminal jurisprudence across the American South, a significant number of wrongful murder convictions, including cases involving white defendants, have stemmed from flawed, speculative, or improperly conducted autopsies, where prosecutors rely on faulty medical examiner findings, such as misidentifying natural disease, accidental injuries, or infant medical conditions as criminal homicides. Innocent individuals are convicted regardless of race. So they're waiting for these autopsies. Everything depends on the fucking autopsy. It don't matter what you say, what you think. Oh, this is what I did. And you can be right as a black person. I didn't do it. The autopsy, the examiner, that forensic pathologist comes back in and say, hey, well, we got this blunt trauma, and this shit might not even be there. Your ass going to jail. You're going to prison. That's a big fucking deal. It's like, do people not see what the fuck is going on? It's some of you guys do. Salute to you guys. I don't want to broad stroke, but I'm just like, why the fuck are we putting racist white people in these positions? Have they not shown us historically we gonna bury you niggas any way we can, even if you're just an inch of the population, just because that's just how we feel about you motherfuckers. It's like Americans are too afraid to just look at shit for what it is. It's like they're so afraid of the fucking truth, the reality of shit. It just pisses me off looking at this because I'm just like, isn't this shit not common sense, nigga? Like, I don't get the shit. In Mississippi, these issues were heavily compounded by systemic reliance on non-board certified medical examiners during the 1980s, 90s, and 2000s. That's like, what, 25 years ago? 10 cases. 10 important murder cases across Mississippi and the southern region involving white defendants whose convictions were overturned or dismissed due to flawed fucking autopsies, misleading postmortem pathology, or recanted medical examiner testimony. And these motherfuckers ain't even board certified. It's just a disgrace, man, living in this damn country, man. And this is coming from a military veteran, just morally. It's a damn shame, man. I don't give a fuck what nobody think. Because you done lived this shit 40 years and you done seen shit. So you get to a point where you're just like, who gives a fuck what you think? Your thoughts, your subjective realities based off of your history versus what I'm living, nigga. So that's why I don't get caught up in the comments. I'm not arguing, I'm not dancing with nobody. It's just you get a certain age, that shit just stops, you know? First case, Mississippi State versus Tyler Edmonds, 2004. Date of overturned conviction, May 2007. The autopsy pathology era. 13-year-old Tyler Edmonds was charged as an adult in the shooting death of his brother in law. Disgraced pathologist Dr. Stephen Hain testified during the autopsy presentation that the bullet trajectory proved two people pulled the trigger simultaneously. You see how important these autopsies are and how it shapes the narrative? The autopsy frames the narrative. All right? Just keep that in your mind. A physical impossibility designed to fit the state's theory that Edmonds and his sister held the gun together. The outcome. The Mississippi Supreme Court threw out Edmonds' conviction, ruling that Haynes' autopsy testimony was scientifically unsupported and speculative. Edmonds was acquitted at a retrial in 2008. Texas State versus Cameron Todd Willingham, 2004. Date of flawed autopsy forensic findings executed 2004. Forensic autopsy review discredited in 2009. The autopsy pathology error. Willingham was convicted of the arson murder of his three daughters. The original arson investigation and medical examiner findings attributed soot inhalation, carbon monoxide levels, and rapid death to deliberate incendiary arson. So these pathologists, they know the power of medical findings and, word salad jargon around, biology, physiology, and the importance and the weight this holds in this criminal case. In these criminal cases. The outcome, post-execution reviews by the Texas Forensic Science Commission revealed the autopsy and arson evidence relied on outdated junk science, and in that the deaths were likely the result of an accidental house fire rather than a homicide. Another Texas, ex parte Hannah Overton, 2007. Date of overturned conviction, September 2014. The autopsy pathology error. Hannah Overton was convicted of capital murder and the salt poisoning death of her foster son. Andrew, the state pathologist's autopsy findings asserted the child was forcibly given lethal amounts of sodium. The outcome, leading medical experts later reevaluated the autopsy and toxicological profiles demonstrated that Andrew suffered from a rare condition, pica, causing him to self-administer salt, and that his medical treatment caused hypernatremia. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals overturned her conviction and all charges were dropped in 2015. Mississippi State versus Jeffrey Harvard, 2002. Date of overturned death sentence. Damn, death sentence was on the line based off of these autopsy results. Reevaluation 2018 to 2020. The autopsy error. Harvard was sentenced to death for the murder and alleged sexual assault of a 6-month-old infant. Pathologist Dr. Stephen Hain. Sound familiar? Testified during autopsy presentation that injuries to the child's rectum were evidence of sexual abuse. The outcome, multiple independent board certified forensic pathologists reviewed the autopsy photographs and tissue samples, concluding the marks were postmortem artifacting or caused by emergency medical resuscitation, not sexual trauma or murder. Mississippi courts vacated Harvard's capital murder sentence. You see that? Caused by the damn pathologists. So yeah, man, I don't know what else more to say, man. It's to the point where we have become so desensitized, so numb to any wisdom or knowledge of the realities of racism, the social engineering of hate, division, the impact on the psychology and the employment, work sectors, medical sectors, criminal justice system. We have just become so dumbed down. You just get it. You exhaust the conversation. You just get tired of it. I'm tired of it. You're tired of it. I'm burnt out going about race and these differences and difficulties. You're burnt out about it. But these are the facts. These are realities. Rest in peace to Nolan Wells. I'm praying for his family. We need to get answers. And I think moving forward, there has to be something changed with how these autopsies are conducted between divided racial groups, specifically white people. You know who I'm talking to. You know yourselves. You know what you're doing. And you're going to answer for it to the Most High God. You're going to answer for it. We all have to answer to God. You're not an exception. You're not an exception. And just seeing how just regressed we're becoming as a human race and how disconnected we're becoming is disgusting. But on a positive note, respect to all the social media investigators, our Twitter investigators, our IG pathologists. Salute to you guys because I mean, you just completely put your foot up the ass of this American government and system, where originally the police officer, the chief, is like, "Hey, I don't suspect any foul play left and fucking right. They need to just fire that motherfucker." You can't trust them. You can't trust them. You guys probably not listening. You're like, "Oh, another nigger complaining. Oh, you niggers, you niggers, you niggers." Hey, in the Bible, God's chosen. It says their word will never fall to the ground. So, you guys have a blessed one, man. I'm out, man.